This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show, presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Welcome into the second year of the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show. I'm Chris Yao. We are proudly presented to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Remember, fans don't let fans drive drunk. We've got folks from all around Middle Tennessee to tell you about them. We'll start up in Clarksville, where brand new reporter Calvin White will tell you about what's going on in Montgomery County and in Houston.
Hello everyone, this is Calvin White, sports editor of Main Street Clarksville, here to give you a quick preview of all the Week 5 high school football games in Montgomery County. We're going to start with West Creek is at Clarksville. Clarksville looking to move to 5-0. Their streak of regular season wins stretched to 19 after last week's 35-14 win over Hopkinsville. West Creek also coming off a win. The Coyotes won 13-6 over Kenwood. Rossview is at Northeast. Rossview has set new benchmarks each of the last 3 weeks. Their 4-0 start after last week's win over Northwest is a program best for start to a season. They will look to move to 5-0 when they take on the Northeast Eagles. Northeast yet to win this season. They will look for their first win against the Hawks. Dixon County is at Kirkwood. Kirkwood also looking to move to 5-0. Dixon County 2-2. Dixon County coming off a big upset win over Gallatin last week. Northwest is at Franklin Road Academy. Northwest, outside of their Week 1 win over Fort Campbell, has lost 3 in a row by pretty substantial margins. Franklin Road Academy sits at 4-0. Hillsboro is at Kenwood. Kenwood has lost 3 of their last 4 games by at least 30 points. Hillsboro sits at 2-2 with wins over McGavock and Cane Ridge. Montgomery Central is at Pearl Cone. Pearl Cone, the reigning 5A state champion, lost their first 2 games, but lost those 2 games by a combined 8 points. They've won their last 2, while the Indians are looking for their first win under first-year head coach Wyatt Page. And finally, Clarksville Academy is at Grace Christian Academy. Clarksville Academy and Grace Christian both have pretty substantial wide margin losses on their resume. Clarksville Academy just looking to get another win on the resume, and Grace Christian looking for their first win of the season. I'm Calvin White, sports editor with Main Street Clarksville. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Calvin. Let's go up to Sumner County now, where Blaine Kellar is standing by with a report.
Sports editor Blaine Kellar here, breaking down the 9 Sumner County games we have on tap Friday night for Week 5, as 7 of our area teams hit the road. We do too. It's part of our coverage for the Gallatin News, Hendersonville Standard, and Portland Sun. We start in Region 5 4A with a battle between 2 winless teams as Station Camp heads to Robertson County to take on Greenbrier. No, it doesn't sound like the headlining matchup, but if you go back a season ago, this was the turning point for Coach Chris Bain and the Bison. They flipped an 0-4 start into a 6-6 season and a Class 4A playoff win, and it all began with the second half comeback over the Bobcats. So really pivotal moment for Station Camp and the heights that they want to reach for their season. And it all starts with that game against Greenbrier again on the road. Other Region 5 4A action in Sumner County includes White House heading 90 minutes south to Lewisburg to take on the undefeated Tigers of Marshall County. JP2 is pretty much a stone's throw away from its home campus. They'll take on Good Pasture after picking up their first D2 AA Middle Region win of the season against the Webb School. Westmoreland is at Monterey, and Liberty Creek takes on 3-time Class 3A runner-up East Nashville. Should be a pretty fun game. It's a rematch of last year's Class 3A quarterfinal game. Of course, these teams met in the regular season a year ago. 2 district foes, region foes. East Nashville, still East Nashville. Liberty Creek's kind of figuring things out in its rushing department after kind of a slow start to the year. There are two interesting out-of-league games if you're willing to make the trek. 3-1 Beach looks to improve upon its hot start to the early portions of the season. They head out to Independence to take on the winless Class 6A Eagles. 5A matchup against a 6A school. Always a fun time to check that one out. That one's sure to be a good game. And then you've got Hendersonville, another 3-1 team. The Commandos head south to Murfreesboro, where they'll face Siegel. Go back a year ago. In our coverage for the Hendersonville Standard, that was a barn burner. So it should be another fun game on Friday to check out. Again, if you're willing to make the trek out to Murfreesboro. And we've got a ton of road trips. And I don't know if you'd believe me if I say we still have 2 games within county lines. Portland looks to snap a 2-game losing streak, taking on Clay County, and Gallatin at 1-3 looks to get on the right foot in Region 4-6A. Green Wave match up against Warren County. So that's 9 games, 2 within county lines, 7 outside of them. They're all sure to be some pretty exciting contests. There's things to look forward to out of all of these teams still at the midway point of the season. Hope you stick around for our coverage as part of the Main Street Preps Network. Back to you guys.
Great job as always, Blaine. Hey, let's move over to David Wilson. He's in Robertson County telling you about what's going on in his area.
Everybody, this is David Wilson, sports reporter for the Robertson County Connection, here to give you a quick preview of all the Week 5 matchups across the Robertson County area this week. It's rivalry week in Robertson County, as the main headline this week is East Robertson, the number 1 team in Class 2A according to the Tennessee Sports Writers Association, travels to face bitter rival Joe Burns on Friday night in the match in the patch in Cedar Hill. Joe Burns leads the all-time series 43-25, but East Robertson has won 6 straight over Joe Burns. They're looking to make 7 in a row this year. East Robertson has been off to a great start this year thanks to the contributions of quarterback Kason Young and tight end and defensive end Zach Groves, who's a 4-star prospect. The Indians have not missed a beat since the torn ACL that defending Mr. Football winner Isaiah Groves suffered in the first week of the year. Moving on, Forest, who is 4-0 on the year and the number 6 team in the Class 2A poll, according to Sports Writers Association. They travel to face White House Heritage, who is 2-2 on the year and is coming off a big 42-6 win over Cheatham County last week. This was a matchup that went in favor of the Rockets last year in Chapel Hill, as Forest won by a final score of 47-21. White House Heritage looking to get above 500 this week in their second consecutive home game. Moving to Springfield, the Yellow Jackets will host Centennial this week, who's the number 6 team in the Class 5A poll, according to the Tennessee Sports Writers Association. Centennial is 3-1 on the year. Springfield is 2-2 and coming off a big 40-14 win over Station Camp last week. The Yellow Jackets rushed for 256 yards rushing and 5 rushing touchdowns. They really found their groove lately with Kason Woodson, getting the starts at the quarterback position. He's a sophomore quarterback for Dustin Wilson's group. Moving on, White House, who is 3-1 on the year and has won 2 consecutive region games after dropping their first matchup of the year against Portland. They travel to face undefeated Marshall County this week in Lewisburg. Marshall County is the number 5 team in the Class 4A poll for the Tennessee Sports Writers Association, and they are a heavy favorite along with Pearl-Cohn to walk away with the region championship. So that'll be tough sledding this week for the Blue Devils as they head south of Nashville to Lewisburg. Moving on, Station Camp, who is 0-4 on the year and 0-4 for the second consecutive year. They will travel to face another winless team in Region 5 4A this week as they face Greenbrier, who is 0-4 for the first time since 2019. Greenbrier has lost 3 consecutive games away from Robertson County after their Week 1 loss to Springfield. They finally get home this week and are looking for their first win of the year behind John Elmore in that group. Station Camp did a great job last year in a similar situation. They started 0-4 and finished 6-6. So look for Station Camp to try to play on that success from last year and continue that trend this year. And then finally, Bradley Central, who is 1-3 on the year. They traveled to Boys Smith Field on Friday night to face Innovation Academy, who is 0-4 and still looking for their first win in program history. The Sentinels got set out last week by Memphis Science and Engineering last week, 56-0. They turned the ball over 3 times and only managed 1 first down. So that'll do it this week on this week's preview. Looking forward to talking to you guys next week on the wrap-up.
Thanks for that report. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more from around Middle Tennessee on the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
He shoots, and he scores!
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Moving clockwise now, we go south to Monte Hale, who's in Rutherford County.
I'm Monte Hale, sports editor of the Murfreesboro Post, here today to take a look at this week's football action across Rutherford County. We're about to hit the halfway stretch, at least as far as the regular season is to play. We got some certainly interesting region games that we'll talk about. And it starts with Oakland at Blackman. Certainly Blackman well tested, having played Brentwood and Ravenwood. Oakland, they're Oakland, you know. Somebody asked me, are they as good as they were last year? I said, I don't really know. I said the results are the same. You know, they lose players, but they seem to just replace them with different names on the back of the jerseys. And you've got to think about Oakland, which is undefeated, has played all year without Dante Morris, who was a Mr. Football finalist last year, and will be playing his football at USC next year. So they're doing all this without him. This is a good matchup. I expect Blackman to give a spirited effort, but the Patriots likely too much to handle. It's Smyrna at Laverne. This rivalry spans way back to when Laverne opened, obviously. Laverne has won 1 time. And there have been some crazy endings fall in Smyrna's favor. Both teams are struggling. Both are not overly gifted offensively, although Smyrna probably has a few more weapons. It's always a good game early. It's one of those games, it's such a rivalry game. He who keeps his head is certainly going to come out on top. It's Riverdale at Rockville. Again, Riverdale coming off the big win over Germantown. Rockville has struggled. I just think Riverdale, the way they're playing right now, you know, coming into this season, we weren't sure who was who. Right now, they're trying to establish themselves at least as the second best team in Region 4-6A. Hendersonville at Siegel. Siegel struggling. Hendersonville, solid football team as always. It'll be a tough matchup for the Stars, but they do seem to play a lot better at home. So we'll see what happens there. Eagleville at Huntland, long trip. It's hard to get there. Huntland's 2-1. Eagleville, they're 2-2. They're 1-1 in region play. It'd be a feather in their cap to get this one because they got some tough ones coming up. MTCS at Webb, they used to be in the same region. Webb chose to move up a class, and so this is a non-region game. Webb is certainly loaded up with a lot more talent than when they were playing in A. Now that they're playing Double A, they've got a lot more bigger bodies, a lot more speed. That's going to be a tough one for the Cougars, who have won their last two. PCA at Grundy County. Long trip for the Lions. But I like PCA's chances in this. Against the teams that you would say they got a shot, they've come through. You know, some nights you're going to face better teams like last week when they had to play DCA. But I like PCA this week. Stewart's Creek at Cane Ridge. Cane Ridge once had the stranglehold on this region. Not anymore. They struggled. I don't know if kids are going elsewhere. But Stewart's Creek is off to a really good start at 3-1. And they've got a ton of playmakers. They're very physical on defense, up front, and at linebacker. And I look for Stewart's Creek to open up region play in a fine fashion. All right, that'll do it today. Again, I'm Monte Hale, sports editor of the Murfreesboro Post.
In Murray County, it's Maurice Patton. He's going to tell you a little bit about what's going on in there and in southern Williamson counties.
Hey, I'm Maurice Patton, sports editor at Main Street Murray. It's kind of hard to believe that we are at the halfway point of the regular season here in high school football, but here we are, and we've got a nice little schedule here for week 5 down this way, starting with Beach coming to Independence on Friday night. The 3-1 Buccaneers ranked 6th in the Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Class 5A statewide poll. Again, 3-1, led by quarterback Caden Powell, a Kentucky baseball commit. Buccaneers' only blemish to this point is a 2-point loss to 6A Collierville. So playing some pretty good ball, Beach is right now. Meanwhile, Independence still looking for their breakthrough win this season. 0-4 so far, coming off of a 35-14 loss to Franklin in Region 6-6A action a week ago. That's one of our games. Also in South Williamson County, Brentwood comes to Summit. The Spartans 1-3 following their opening week win over Spring Hill with 3 straight losses, including last week's 35-0 defeat over at Blackman. Brentwood, meanwhile, 3-1 coming into this Region 6-6A opener for both teams. The Bruins went to Paris last week, and if you weren't already aware of them, you probably are now, because they went up and beat Henry County 7-6. Doesn't happen very often, the Patriots losing on their home turf. So big win for the Bruins in that one. That's that matchup. Another region matchup takes place at Columbia Academy this weekend as the 2-2 Bulldogs take on unbeaten Donaldson Christian in the Division 2A Middle Region opener for both teams. CA went to Donaldson Christian and won this one 42-30 to last year. Expect another good one here as CA comes off of a tough loss out at Huntington last weekend, 42-20. Again, DCA undefeated right now, but this one will go a long way toward deciding that D2A Middle Region Championship, you would think. So one to keep an eye on. Another Region 5-5A matchup takes place over at Lindsey Nelson Stadium on Friday night as Columbia Central hosts Lawrence County. Both these teams winless in region play. Columbia Central falling 34-24 over at Shelbyville last weekend. Lawrence County falling to Lincoln County 28-19 a couple of weeks ago. The Wildcats 1-3 overall. Columbia Central 2-2. Should be a good one because even though Lawrence County is 1-3, they have shown a little offensive ingenuity relative to some other years. They're a lot more balanced this time around. I think it's going to make it a pretty exciting ball game and one to keep an eye on here. Winless Spring Hill steps out of region play, taking on visiting Lawson. The Lightning 2-2 coming in here. Again, Spring Hill 0-4, coming off a tough 49-14 loss down at Lincoln County, in which they were down 42-14 at the half and obviously never got back in it. So Spring Hill looking to get off the schneid, as they like to say. Finally, probably the headliner of the weekend down here for week 5. Mount Pleasant goes to Summertown, and whoever loses, it will be their first. Mount Pleasant 4-0 overall, 2-0 in region play. Summertown 4-0 overall, 2-0 in region play. The Eagles 1-9 a year ago, having hired Dan Winfrey just a month before, literally a month before their season opener. Again, Summertown 1-9 last year, 4-0 right now, 2-0 in region play. The Tigers coming off of a 15-7 win over Harpeth last week to stay undefeated. Summertown winning the Pegasus Cup with a 39-27 win on Saturday night over Loretto. Again, this will be the one, if you want to get to one, down here this weekend to see.
Thanks for that report. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more from around Middle Tennessee on the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
He shoots, and he scores!
We stay in southern Middle Tennessee with Wade Neely. He's going to tell you a little bit about Giles County and what's going on there.
What's up, folks? Wade Neely here, sports editor at the Pulaski Citizen, contributor over at the Lawrence County Advocate. Time for a preview of Week 5 of the high school football season. And holy smokes, we are in Week 5 of the high school football season. The season is rolling right along. The teams are getting better. The teams are finding out who they are. And some teams are already in desperation mode. We're all over the place, and we got a lot to cover. So let's dive right in. We will start with our Lawrence County-based schools, and we'll begin with 2-2 Loretto, who is on the road this week, taking on Lewis County. The Mustangs reeling just a little bit. Man, they looked great to start the season. Really absolutely clicking. And unfortunately, with an injury bug here and a little bit of a knock there, Loretto has kind of lost a little bit of their steam, including a tough loss last week in the Pegasus Cup to Summertown, their bitter rival to the north. So Loretto is kind of reeling. They're 2-2. They're at Lewis County. It's going to be a tough game on Friday night, I think, for the Mustangs. And on the Southern Middle Tennessee football show, I said I don't know where Loretto is right now. And it's going to take a little bit for me to kind of see where they are. I'm hoping for a good game. I think Loretto can bounce back, but this will be a tough one. Again, 2-2 Loretto is at 2-2 Lewis County. Most importantly, both teams are 1-1 in the region. So that is a big showdown coming up on Friday. Speaking of big region showdowns, 1-3 Lawrence County versus Columbia Central up in Murray County. It is the 2-2 Lions who have shut out Lawrence County in back-to-back outings. Lawrence County has not scored against Murray County-based Columbia Central in quite some time. As a matter of fact, you got to go all the way back. Let's see if we can dig this up here. You got to go all the way back to September 8th of 2017, the last time that Lawrence County actually put up points against Columbia. They shut them out last year, 31-0. There was a break for a while there from 2018 until 23, but back in 2018, they shut them out 35-0. So Lawrence County has got a little bit of an axe to grind, coming off a tough cowbell game. I'm really curious to see what the mental makeup of Lawrence County is. They showed a lot in the loss to Giles County, who's a really good 3A team. But how does Lawrence County respond? If they show up and they play well, I think it'll be a good game. Columbia Central, meanwhile, they're a little bit reeling mentally as well after a tough loss to Shelbyville. So rubber meeting the proverbial road in this one. Should be a good contest. Main Street Murray will have all of your coverage there. Another big showdown between a Lawrence County-based school and a Murray County-based school. And this could be the game of the week. Mount Pleasant 4-0 at Summertown 4-0. Summertown with a massive win in the Pegasus Cup. Quint Smith is balling out of control for Summertown. Jaden Stahl is balling out of control for Summertown. Peyton Newhouse is balling out of control. Everybody is balling for the Summertown Eagles, who are undefeated right now. Is this a week that it finally catches up to them? I'm not sure. I'm going to ride, and if you watched our show earlier in this week, Mo and I broke it down. I said I'm just going to ride the good vibes with Summertown until they fall, and I'm not going to pick against Summertown. I think this could be the game of the week, but Mount Pleasant could easily come in and really make this kind of a laugher, and the Tigers could walk away with a big victory. So in my opinion, Mount Pleasant either wins big, or I think this is a close game that Summertown wins. Either way, it's shaping up to be an absolute dandy. Finally, we shift gears over east. Giles County is off this week, so just one team in our coverage area that will be in action. But it's a rivalry game. A week after the Cowbell game, we get Richland's biggest rivalry showdown on the calendar, as 3-1 Richland Raiders are flying after dropping their opener to 5A Lincoln County. They've won 3 straight, and they get ready to head to Cornersville, who's 2-2. So Richland with a lot of momentum. Their offense is drawing rave reviews. They are throwing the ball like you've never seen. A lot of the Richland alums are showing up and seeing the Raiders throwing the ball, saying, what the heck? Where did this offense come from? Nick Patterson has got the guys playing well. And most importantly, perhaps, for Cornersville, they don't have Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin graduated, the Mr. Football. Man, what a 4+ year career that he had at Cornersville. The greatest maybe football player in the history of Cornersville, I think it's fair to say. It's up for debate if nothing else. And man, but he's gone. And so Cornersville at 2-2, they will be scrappy. They will be tough. But I think Richland goes on the road and gets the win. I mentioned that Giles County is off. That means Chris Bledsoe and I will have the Friday night off in terms of broadcasting duties. But we'll still be spinning around the universe. Last week, we were both down in Alabama checking out the Ardmore Tigers. And we will be kind of in and around the football bloodline, as it were, on Friday. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. Real quickly, we also want to shout out that Mark Mize and I believe Harley Schrader are going to call the game Friday night for Pulaski Citizen Live. We want to send our very best and most sincere thoughts and prayers and well wishes, safe and speedy recovery to our good friend and colleague Jennifer Hawkins, who has been sidelined with a little bit of a health scare the last couple of weeks. We've been thinking and we've been praying for you, Jennifer, and we hope you make, again, a safe and speedy recovery, because we know you are the Raiders' biggest fan, and we want you to hurry back and see what has been potentially a special season thus far for the Richland Raiders. That's enough from me. I'm going to kick it off to the next segment here. That is an update on Giles and Lawrence counties as Week 5 of the high school season rolls along here on Main Street Media.
We'll go now to Casey Patrick, who has a report from both Dixon and Cheatham County.
Hi, my name is Casey Patrick. I'm a sports reporter for the Dixon Post and Cheatham County Exchange. We're going to give you a quick preview into the Week 5 of football action. Starting with Dixon County, they're traveling to Clarksville to take on Kirkwood. Dixon County's 2-2 on the year. They've got coming off 2 big wins. Creekwood is they'll be on the road as well at Whites Creek. Big region matchup for both of those teams. Same with Dixon and Kirkwood. Over in the Cheatham County side of things, I will be at Sycamore Friday evening. They're hosting Stratford. Harpeth is taking the short trip over to Waverly, and Cheatham County Central going over to Fairview. So Cheatham County Central, of course, having a rough go at it, traveling to Fairview. And like I said, Harpeth at Waverly. And of course, Sycamore at home, that's the game I'll be at. So y'all have a good evening, and good luck Friday.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show. Again, we are presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans, don't let fans drive drunk. We'll see you right after the games for the Main Street Preps post-game show and recaps. Once again, I'm Chris Yao on Main Street Media TV. Have a great day.
This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show, presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.